And good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to another live Xanadu Gallery Art Business Academy online critique session. Today is Wednesday, December 2nd, 2020. It is good as always to be here with you after a Thanksgiving break. Hope you all had a great one. Our artist today joins us from the East Coast, from New Jersey, Jesus Nunez Rabano. It's a pleasure to have you here, Jesus. And if I can, it looks like I've got you on mute again. So if you'll just unmute yourself on your computer, we'll welcome you in and dive right in and get started. Good morning, Jesus.
Okay.
How are you this morning?
Good morning. Good morning, Jason. Thank you for having me. I'm very
It,
excited and looking forward.
Yes, I'm looking forward to talking to you about your work. I received a lot of comments from participants, and I'm looking forward to getting them involved in the discussion. As we get started, Jesus, tell us a little bit, give us a little bit of your history and background and how you came to create the paintings that you're creating.
Well, I'm very excited to be here, because my story is very particular. I started like a graffiti artist when I was 14. I'm from Madrid, from one town in the suburbs of Madrid called Móstoles that was a working people town, very suburban, very, after a dictator in Spain, the poor town. So graffiti was part of the culture, like a rebellion act. So I started doing graffiti and tagging and painting when I was 14. And then at the age of 30, I moved to New York. So I decided to stop doing graffiti because I didn't see myself in New York painting the walls. And I was already old. So I changed the walls for canvas. But to be honest, my profession until a few months, I'm a chef. So I was working in a kitchen for the last 27 years. If somebody can want to take a look to my plates, are very artistic, and I incorporate the art in the plating, playing with the volume, with texture, with colors, in the same way that painting a piece of art. The first restaurant that I had in New York was called Graffiti. That was the fusion between graffiti and it. And everything, we had graffiti in the walls, and we had light like in an art gallery for the food, because the food was very artistic. Anyway, with the pandemic and the situation that we are having, the restaurant business is right now in a very bad situation. So, and my position was corporate chef, so the high position, the high salaries right now are difficult to have. So I was laid off from my former company that I was working almost 5 years with them. And in June, when the situation with the COVID was a little bit better, I decided to do something for the community. So I take all of my art, that my studio is in the basement of my house, and take it outside and do an art gallery, an outdoor art gallery, and I post on Facebook, parents Facebook groups, and the towns around here groups, telling them, come here, enjoy art, museums are closed, galleries are closed, my art is very colorful, bring your kids, and was a big success. And after this, the people start texting me Facebook messages like, are you going to do it again? So I decided to do another one in August. So in both of them, the goal wasn't to sell. The goal was to bring something different in this very hard time that we were having and we are having in the country with the situation, and to do something that adults and kids can enjoy. And I love that kids get involved with art, and my art is very happy and it's very colorful, as you can see in the background. Is something that can be childhood sometimes. So I did another one, and in both of them I sold around 20 pieces, and I already know that I can sell my art, because my art was like a second job for me, but was more like, okay, I saw your piece in Peter House and I love it. Can you do something for me? Yeah, what you want, how big, what colors? And I did it, but it wasn't my profession. It was more my hobby for a long, long time. We are talking about, I'm 45, so we are talking about 31 years that I'm doing art in a canvas or with gesso or with metal, but doing always art or with my food. That was a very artistic part of my profession. So I was talking with my wife in September, and I say, listen, I think that I want to give a chance to be an artist. I know that sounds crazy. I know that the artists have this everybody has the idea that the artists don't make money and don't have anything to eat because they don't sell, and it's a very difficult profession. And I totally agree that it's a very difficult profession, but in every single profession there is different approach, and there is people that are successful and people that is not successful. And I live in a good area in New York City where the houses are big, and the people work in corporate jobs, so they continue having their jobs from home, but they didn't spend the money going on vacation this year or doing anything more than renovations and landscaping. So art was a perfect fit for this situation in the area that I located. So I was willing to continue selling, and I decided to build a web page. I decided to find somebody in the art world. So I hired an art advisor in London that is working in a well-known art gallery. I hire somebody for the e-commerce. So I make everything easy for the people. The people can go to the web page and go buy, put it in the car, go to different options for shipping with different companies, pay, and that's all. So I try to look at the way that I see any other business that I did in the past, restaurant business or any kind of business. I try to think like a customer, what I want to see, how easy it needs to be to purchase, to buy this piece, and I did it. And after this, now we are working in, okay, how can I be an artist? What are the steps? Do I have an agenda? I don't, but I know that I'm creative, and I know that I'm talented, and I know that how business run from the past. And at the end, most of the businesses, you have a product and you need to find a customer that is interested in your product. So, but in the art world, for me, that is totally new. I'm trying to think, okay, how I'm doing this. To be honest, I don't know, but I wanna tell the people, I don't know if there is more artists like me here in this group, or is only critics or art gallery owners or like you.
We're mostly artists here, Jesus.
From the Okay, so for the artists, because I start joining Facebook groups of artists, and most of the comments are always the same. It's like, you need to work very hard. You cannot. You are going to be struggling for a lot of years. The art galleries are not going to take care of you. And the other day, I couldn't resist, and I write in one comment that was like, I'm being an artist for 15 years. Take me 5 years to sell my first piece. It's very difficult. Most of the people think that because they can paint, they are artists, and this is not the reality of being an artist. Artist is suffering. Artist is, and I want to share my story. My story is from June 23rd that I did the Friend Art Yard sale to today, that is December 2nd. I sold 85 pieces on an average of, because I have an Excel page with every piece, how much the client pay, with an average of $487 per piece. So if somebody want to make the numbers, can make the numbers and see the total. Of course, I have expense. Of course, I have expenses, because at the end, art need to make sense. I know that how difficult it is to price a piece. And I have people on Instagram that ask me, how do you sell it? Why is this price? And it's like, I don't know. I know that there is a lot of formulas, but I decide to go my way.
Jesus, we want to talk about the work and the pricing. And I love your story, and I think that it's going to be inspiring to a lot of us that are here. The way you have jumped into the art world with such enthusiasm and experience. And I think there are a couple of things that you've said that are really important that we can all take benefit from. And that's this idea of thinking of what we're doing in the art world as a business. And as you said, we've got a product, we need to find customers. And, I think it's very challenging sometimes for us to kind of take off the beret, the creative, artistic, that side of what we're doing, and think of it in a business way. And congratulations to you for being very innovative. I love the idea of the street show and how it shows how hungry people are to have artwork in their life and have that experience. But Jesus, I want to jump in and start looking at your work and share some of the pieces. Let me pull us up here. And talk to us just a little bit, Jesus, about how your style has developed and why you're creating the work that you're creating.
Well, Jason, this is my last collection that is called Balance. I think that at one point of my life, what I'm looking is to have some balance of what I'm doing because I'm very creative and this is not going to change. I'm going to continue this kind of artist that is not going to do only one thing. So I prefer to have, if the people go to the webpage, the people will see that I have a lot of collection. But in this case, I was looking for something that was very minimal, that was powerful at the same time, that was very straightforward. As you can see in this piece, it's only 3 lines in black. But if you look closer and the people can look closer, the amount of detail and little dots on different dimensions that each of these lines have is a very intricate and complicated piece. But at the same time, when you look this piece, you only see 3 lines in black and white. So it's a combination of something that is very minimal. I try to play with a palette of colors that combine. This one, for example, that we are seeing, you have blues, you have gold, and you have green and black and white. So it's very clear that this is blue. It's very clear that you can put this in the Jersey Shore or in a house in Florida. But again, it's only 3 lines. But if you see the complexity of how the colors are mixing, at the beginning, in a very straight lines, every color is clean, and then later all of the colors mix. And if I'm playing with a blue and a yellow, the colors get transformed into a green. This one with blue and with black. And I'm not looking for perfection. As you can see in the line in the right, you can see that this line in one of the sides is not well done. And at the end of the other side on the top is not well done either. But I don't care because you already see how the line is coming, how organic, what is the shape of this line. So it's a collection that I enjoy a lot doing it, because I'm looking for this complexity, simplicity, and only play with 2 or 3 colors or maybe a little bit more of colors, but when they mix together, they are going to create a green, or they are going to create a pink, or they are going to create a purple. And more or less, this is all about. It's about a collection that is easy to digest, that is gonna be nice. This gold one is in a very elegant black and white design. Home will be perfect with some of gold accents, will work very nice because has the black, has the white, and then the gold accents. And more or less, this collection is about this. It's doing very well. The people is loving it, and I'm enjoying doing right now this collection. It's true that I'm working on another 3 collections. That one I'm going to release it next week, but I continue doing this collection because I enjoy it, and because again, this is a business. It's a business that I enjoy and it's part of my life, and I'm really happy when I paint. But it's a business, so if the people demand this kind of collection, this kind of pieces, I'm all over, because
and
we cannot survive
Jesus,
like an artist if we don't have clients.
Your background, I couldn't help but, as I was looking at your work that you submitted and also on your website, notice, as you've already said, kind of the bold lines. How much of your background in creating the graffiti do you think plays into how you're creating the work, kind of the visual impact of what's on the canvas?
Well, everything. In this piece that we are looking, you can see, first of all, the dimensions. I like big. I can do a small, but a small for me is not what I really enjoy. I enjoy big. And you can see there is only a part of whatever I do that is inspired by the graffiti. I'm coming from these roots, the street art roots, something that is going to catch your attention, because at the end, when you paint in a wall, you want something that the people want to stop and look for whatever reason, for the colors, for the shape, for the message, and it's part of my art. Maybe some people don't see it, but in this case, it's always part of what I do, the graffiti.
So I would love to get some of you that are either here in the panel or that are in the live stream. I'd love to hear your comments on the work, your reaction to the work, what you're seeing in terms of, as we typically do, we like to talk about the consistency of what we're seeing. Can I, if you'd like to join me, you can, if you're in the panel, throw your hand up and I'll bring you in that way. Or if you are in just the attendees, you can click on the hand icon and that will let me know that you want to make some comments on Jesus's work. And once again, if I don't get volunteers, I will volunteer you the old fashioned way. Let's see, I've got Emily, hold on. There we go, let me get you up here, Emily. And it should be asking you to unmute. Good morning, Emily.
Good morning.
I've got you.
Oh, you can hear me. Wonderful. Yes, I find this rather intriguing work. I wasn't sure what to make of it initially, but now that it's somewhat explained as to what the background is like, I see this as a bit of a journey. I don't know if it's what you portray, but the journey is solid and then it stops and then it starts and then it's broken, excuse me, where in different areas. And is that something that you see, Jesus?
Yeah. It's everything that is in the pieces has a reason, and I'm going to tell you something. Sometimes I make a mistake when I painting, and this mistake give me the opportunity to go in another direction. But whatever direction I take has a reason. So everything that you see, why in this one that we are seeing, one in the bottom right, this one, Jason. In the bottom right, you see that the line is not perfect. It's because I want it like this. I want something that is not as perfect, but give you all of these empty spaces of white that coming into the line. And the same that if you go to the middle of the piece in the same line, you will see that there is another white space. All of this is made like this for a reason. It's, as you say, it's like a journey. It's like a beginning. It's like a stop. It's like a thinking about it. It's like continuing your journey. And in this case, all of these lines are a journey. Start with one color, transform to another color, stop, having a breakup, and then continue again. So yes, you are right in what you say. It's like a journey.
Thank you.
Yes, and I wanted to.
You're welcome.
It's interesting as I've had the opportunity over the years to represent a number of abstract artists. It is very interesting to me to see how people will respond to abstract work, and I'm sure, Jesus, even in the short time that you've been showing your work, you've probably seen some of this. That there are some viewers who experience the work and they just don't get it. They'll look at the work and they'll say, the obvious ones are, oh, I could have done that, or my kid could have done that, or and it's just lines and simple. And my response is always, well, if you could do it, you should be doing it. But it's much more challenging and difficult to do an abstract well than many might imagine. And then on the other hand, you have people who just do get it. They see the work and it has an impact on a very primal, emotional level. They love how organic the work is. I'd love to get comments again from those of you who are here on kind of what your experience is as you look at Jesus's work, or your comments on the kind of the abstract nature of the work. And Gay, it looks like I've got you there. You may have had another comment too. Feel free to jump in with your reaction to the work.
There we are. Yeah, I found these obviously very consistent, Jesus. But I was interested to know why you had gone in this direction, because I went to your website and I looked at the work you also submitted to show like the back of how you hang it. And I could see the marks had a continuity to those. So I'm interested just to know what caused this sort of breakout, because although they are sculptural in their visual content, they are not like your sculptures. so far anyway. So I'm interested to know what in a sense was I don't know if this is a good question to ask here, but the process that got you to choose this series of images. What was the
Yeah,
continuity?
it's a great question. Yeah,
I'm done.
it's a great question because if you already take a look to the web page and you see most of my work is very colorful, so it's not for everybody, you know. And when I decide that I need to approach people that wanna buy my art, I start looking how I can create something that is talking about myself, that I'm going to continue enjoying, that is going to continue having this mix of colors, but it's gonna be elegant, delicate, and minimal for people that are not into these strong, powerful pieces of art with a lot of color, that the one that I have in my background. So I start with the black and white. You know, black and white is always a good combination. This one that Jason is putting in the screen, and I saw the potential of a black and white. And of course, you can do straight lines. You can do a lot of things with these two colors. But again, I want to do something that was organic, that take me from a beginning to the end, and I enjoy when I was doing it. That was flowing into the canvas. And Jason said, a lot of people is going to say, okay, this is the craft that my kid with 5 years old was doing. It's perfect. I don't know why there is so many haters in this art world. You know, it's very simple. You look it, you feel something, you don't feel anything. It's okay. You go and continue your life. It's not a problem. But as Jason said, there is a lot of people that is like, oh, my kids can't do it, or what a waste of paint, or all of these kind of comments that I don't understand. And Jason, I have two questions for you, and hopefully more people are interested. I think that most of the artists or most of the creative people don't have a big how you say this when you believe in yourself. Sorry for my English.
Self-confidence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the abstract wall is I have the feeling that you need to be very strong and believe in what you are doing, because in my case, I don't know how to paint a tree. I don't know how to paint a flower. I was talking the other day with somebody in the art wall, and I say, listen, but how can be an artist and call myself artist if I don't know how to paint a face? And the answer, I love the answer, because it was somebody that worked in the art wall and told me the abstract wall is much more difficult, because without presenting something that the people recognize, you need to catch the attention and make the people fall in love. And to be honest, this made me feel very good, you know, because this is what I'm trying to do with my art. It's like I'm trying to make you feel something, you know, with whatever you see there. And most of my work is color and lines and volume and texture and all of this. So the reason, again, going back to the question, is like, I think that at one point of my life, and this is my point, 45 years old, doing this for a long time, this collection represents how I feel right now. I feel like this. I feel like I want to be clean. I want to be organic. I want to play with color, but I want to be elegant. I want to be mature. And I think that all of this is represented in this collection.
Yeah, and you know, we talk a lot about long-term, the importance of creating a consistency across your work. And you all of you that have been following me for a while know that I beat on this drum quite regularly, that it's important to kind of find a kind of narrow your bandwidth down and focus in on a body of work. But I think that also it's important to kind of echo what Jesus is saying here, that in the early stages of your career, it's unlikely that right out of the gate, you are going to have found the artistic vein that you want to be mining for the rest of your life. You know, and there's going to be experimentation and trial and error. And as Jesus said, that there is also some wisdom in thinking about your viewer and your potential customer, seeing how they respond to the work. And if there is as you're trying different bodies of work, if there's strong reaction to certain bodies of work, there's nothing wrong with then exploring that further and expanding out on it, and kind of having that dialogue between you as the artist and your viewer in how they appreciate and respond to the work. So, and even further into your career, it's not a bad idea from time to time to just stretch and reach out and kind of test the boundaries of your consistency. Let's see, I've got time for one more comment on this, on kind of consistency in the work. And I've got Patty with her hand up. Patty, if you can unmute, you should be able to come in. Good morning, Patty. Oh, do I have you? I am afraid, Patty, I can see you're unmuted, but I'm not getting any audio from you. All right. Sorry about that, Patty. We didn't get you in. I do want to talk a little bit then about how you're presenting your work, Jesus. The image that you sent, and obviously we look at this piece of artwork, and it's very different in terms of composition and textures and color from the other pieces we were looking at. It kind of fits more with the piece that we're seeing behind you. But I want to focus in on the presentation. You're showing this piece with a frame. Are all of your works framed, or what is your approach to how you're presenting the work?
Well, for a struggling artist, that this is what we were talking, frame our piece is another big expense that not everybody can afford. Now I'm working with a custom frame store. With the owner. It's a small store, but the owner is very knowledgeable about art. Or how can I start framing my pieces? Because I realized that framing can be the last step, coming from the artist's perspective, to really finish 100% your piece. I think that framing is another level that you can put into your piece. Because as you can see in this piece that we have in the screen, it's a very modern, colorful, but as you see the frame is like a very Louis XIV, very ornament frame. And you can think, oh no, but this is not matching. Well, as you can see, it's beautiful, the frame combined perfectly with the modern, with the old, with the simple of the lines, with all of these ornaments. So right now I'm offering a custom frame to my customers, to my clients, because I think that my view will help to elevate the piece better than if the client go to a framing store and frame it by themselves. Because I understand the piece and I understand what I was trying to tell with this piece and what kind of frame is going to work. But most of my pieces, like I will say, 70% of my pieces are not framed, and 30% are framed.
I would love to get some comments from those of you who are here in the panel about framing. Well, and let me take your comments first. I have my own opinions as well, which I'll share. But Gay, I think I saw you have a comment.
Yeah, I have to say, and I'm going to honor your decision as the artist who did the painting. You're free to pick anything you want. But I have learned the hard way that sometimes the professional framer has a better idea. All I'm going to say is that your work is very powerful. The simpler the frame, if you're going to have one, the better, as far as I'm concerned, because the work is strong in a good way. The other thing to remember is that sometimes, as you say, 70% of your work isn't even framed. It is strong enough to stand on its own, as long as you tidy up the edges, as it were, whatever they may be. Mine are filthy by the end of a painting, so I have to do a lot of work. But so I would say, from my perspective, as someone who also has images that are pretty strong, that the plainer, the better. And that somebody who buys it might have completely different ideas about what to frame, how to do it. So that's my encouragement. I don't know what your framer says.
No,
go with that.
I totally agree. I totally agree with you. And I want to show you, I want to move my computer. This one that we were looking in the screen was 1 year old. This one, as you can see, that is a framing, a flooring box, is exactly what you say, clean. And I want to bring you to another room of my house, and I want to show you another clean frame Let me see if you can see. Do you see it?
Yes.
So I totally agree with you. I think that my art, I totally agree with you, and I appreciate your advice, because I think that my art is powerful enough to continue doing things with the frame. And I think that the frame needs to be a clean line in black and white and gold, but something very clean, that the only thing that is going to do is frame this piece of art, that is already enough. So I really appreciate your advice.
Yeah. What? Anyone else want to hop in with a comment on presentation and framing? No. So okay. So then I get to throw my 2 cents worth in, and that is that I agree with exactly what Gay was saying, that with strong contemporary work like yours, I also would militate towards a simpler frame, or even no frame, with a box stretched canvas. We're finding that, especially in our clientele who is in a contemporary setting, a contemporary home, or even an office space, that they're loving having the artwork just kind of organically, placed on the wall without any interruption between the space and the artwork. And that, most of my artists are not using any kind of frame. They're on a 2.5 to 3 inch deep canvas, either white sides or a colored side, or the artwork just continues around the edge. And we're seeing a very strong reaction to that. And of course, the benefit of starting that way and having a clean presentation with no frame is that doesn't stop someone from buying the piece and then going to their framer or working with you if they want a frame. But it kind of opens up the possibilities for them. And the challenges, and I think especially, and let me pull us back there. And I think that this piece is certainly, it creates a striking effect with that ornate frame, as you said. But my concern with that, and certainly if I were showing it in the gallery, my concern would be that frame could be a stopping point, or something that trips a customer up, and gets in the way of their envisioning the frame in their house. If they don't love that frame, it could stop them from further exploring the piece. And so I would almost rather start simpler, and then if someone says, well, I'm in a very ornate home, then we can add an ornate frame to it to kind of make it fit into their space. But I would rather work from simpler and build from there. And so I might suggest, just exploring both of those options, showing the work on a deeper kind of finished canvas, or the very simple black frames, like you mentioned, like the ones that you have, and just kind of seeing which work gets the stronger reaction from your clientele. Which does then take us, Jesus, to the question of pricing. And I think we're going to get some significant comments here. We looked at your work, and you included some pricing on the pieces. And as you mentioned, a lot of your work is at a larger scale. So what has your approach to pricing been? How do you come up with the price point that you're putting on the work?
Well, let's see because I know that this is a topic that everybody talk about it. I know that there is people that decide to do it between how big is the piece, and they charge for inch or for a square or for whatever. I'm not this person. I know that a lot of people charge based on how many hours do you spend, and you charge your own hour, $15, 20 hours, $30 or whatever per hour. That is okay too. In my cases, I decide to have a minimum, and the minimum is $450. I think that for an original piece of art that I'm not going to repeat again ever, because probably this collection that we are talking about is going to disappear at one point from my webpage, because it's going to be sold out and I'm not going to do it again. So this is going to be original. It's not going to be that I'm going to be doing this for 10 years. It's not going to happen. It's not the kind of artist that I am. And so I know that there is a value there. There is a value that is original art, and there is a value on the size. So more or less it's about this. 450 is my minimum, and I don't want to go higher than 1,400 right now. I don't know if I am an emerging artist, or I'm nobody artist. I don't really care, but I think that 1400, I think that art needs to be affordable. So I think that 1400 is my top. For commission, I charge in a little bit more. So at the end it's between, okay, 450 needs to be a small size, 1400 needs to be big size, and between the middle is gonna be all of my inventory. So this is how I do it. Normally, medium size is between $550 and $800, and the large size start in the 900 to the 1400. All of these pieces, as you can see, this one is 1400. I think that the other one was 1200. Our big pieces are 60 by 48, 60 by 40. I think that they deserve a price like this. And this is risky because for somebody like me that I produce a lot, I have my demon here and I have my angel here, and my demon is telling me, do you prefer to sell one for 1,000 or you prefer to sell 5 for 300? Because you can produce 5 very quickly because you like what you do and you love to produce art because it brings you creativity and brings you new ideas. So as much I produce, I start being a better artist. But I think that, again, you need to respect yourself and you need to build your brand. If you go to buy a Chevrolet, you are going to be in a range of prices, and you decide to buy a Ferrari, you are going to be in a range of prices. I'm not a Chevrolet, I'm not a Ferrari, but these are my prices, and I'm going to be honest with what I think that I am. Everybody that is here and is an artist, that you can buy a 20 by 16 for $10. And you know that you are going to spend $7, $10 on materials if you use acrylic. Okay, so we have $20. This means that if you want to stay in a 10% cost, you can sell it for 200 and continue making 90% profit. To be honest, I don't know what is the profit in art. I know what is the profit in food. In food, your food cost needs to be in a 25% or lower. But in art, because I knew I have no idea, but I think that 10% expenses is a good percentage to have 90% profit. So, but if you take one 20 by 16 that you pay $20 between a normal canvas, quality canvas, and the materials, normal acrylic quality, and spend 20 and sell it for 200, I think that you are not building a good brand. Let me give you an example, because I have 27 years of experience in the food industry and 5 months in the art industry. But if I'm going to tell you something for everybody here. Caviar is cheap. Okay, so 1 ounce of caviar, the Tramontanus caviar, that is the normal quality, the basic caviar, you buy it for $15. But you are not going to find it in a restaurant cheaper than $85. And there is a reason. Is if I take this $15 and I sell it for $30, the people is going to think that it's not good quality. So I think they are the same way. If I sell something for $150, the people is not going to think that it's quality and it's good enough. It's cheap. So I decide for myself, and probably I'm making 1,000 mistakes. Nobody is teaching me how to be an artist. I'm being an artist, whatever I feel in, and I'm strong in what I feel, and I'm sure that I will be successful because I think that I have a good product. I decide 450 is my minimum, and for now 1,400 is my top. So
and
I hope
so
that
I would, and I agree with kind of approaching it in looking at your pricing and the value of your work in as objective a way as you can. I think it's hard for us to argue, Jesus, with your pricing too much, because you've in such a short period during such a difficult time, you have created some amazing sales, and so certainly that makes it harder to argue with. However, I would say that as your career progresses, I would anticipate that you have a lot of upside potential on the pricing, that there is a lot of room to move that pricing upward and still be a great value. Linda mentions or I think it was Linda in the chat, that your collectors who are buying pieces right now for $500 to $1,400. They could see some tremendous upside potential in that small investment in the work as your values increase. And I would say that especially as you begin thinking about presenting your work in other venues, in galleries, in shows, and as the art market continues to grow back, that galleries would like to see your work significantly at a higher value for exactly the reasons you mentioned. That as they're showing it to their collectors, they want to impress upon them, not the price of the work, the value of the work. And it would not be difficult at all for me to imagine this
Jason, can I
piece
ask
that we're
you how
looking
much is
at 60 by 48. It could easily be at 4,500 or 6,500 in a gallery setting, and still create that kind of demand. You've already proven that there's a market for the work, that there's an interest in the style and subject matter. You've proven that there's a good demand for the work at your current prices. And whenever I see demand like that, it's an indication that there is room for the value to increase. And I would think in this case, increase pretty dramatically as you move forward. It just, the dynamics
But Jason,
of
can I
showing
ask
in a
you
gallery make
something?
it difficult. Sure. In fact, you're going to get the last question, Jesus.
Do you think
We're
that the
just
demand,
almost out of time.
yeah, okay. Do you think that the demand is based on the price? And if the price increase, the demand is going to be lower?
I mean, there obviously is going to be a correlation between pricing and demand for the work. But let's keep in mind that you are at this point doing what I would call is kind of a guerrilla marketing, where you've created your own venue, you've created your own demand, and so obviously for that audience, the price point that you're at is clearly working. But as you expand into other markets and potentially into like I say, into galleries, and it sounds like you have a production level that would allow you to sustain relationships with multiple galleries, you may actually find that the demand for your work increases as the value goes up, that the perception of the quality of the work and the perception of the value of the work, that as your prices increase, in different markets, that the sales could increase as well. And I don't want to downplay, certainly there are going to be some challenges ahead of you as you grow into that, and finding the right markets, finding the right price points. And I think those are some of the challenges that an artist who is maturing into the art market is going to experience. But as you say, I think you can go into the art market with a lot of confidence because you've already proven that there is an interest in the work that you're creating. And so even though you may run into those challenges along the way, you can know that that you're going to find those people who are going to respond to the work. And Jesus, I've been in galleries, and I'm going to say this carefully, but I have been in galleries where I've seen work that is in no way better than yours, in no way technically better, or in terms of the interest that's created in the work. And I've seen that artwork priced in the $20,000 and $30,000 and $40,000 range, and selling very well at those price points. And so to a certain extent, it's not only a question of demand for the work, it's also a question of deciding, where do I want to be finding my customers? Which customers do I want to be finding? And what is the audience I want to work with and play towards? And there's nothing wrong with selecting an audience where the price points are very attainable. That's a very wide audience. But then there also comes a point where you have to say, you're one person, and no matter how productive you are, you can only produce so much artwork in your lifetime. Where can you see the most value come out of that artwork that is being created? And so, I would encourage you to explore. We've had, and I've only gotten to a few of you for comments on the work, and already we're a little bit over time. But Jesus, we're going to be following you and your work. What is the best social media to follow you on? Facebook, Instagram?
Well, I'm very active on Instagram. Every day you are going to find a new piece on the post and stories about what I'm doing, what I created, what I have in mind. So Instagram is a good place to follow. And then the webpage, because the webpage is having around between 4 and 10 pieces every week that are new.
Yeah. So, and I hope everyone heard just heard what he said. Every week between 4 and 10 pieces that are new. I want you to think about that production and what you might be able to do if, if your production were to move in that direction. I think that talks to, as you think about the components of building a successful career, certainly consistency is a big part of that. Certainly finding the right value. But also, there's just something to be said for raw production
Jason,
power, and we can't all get there, but it can be very powerful if we can move in that direction. Yes.
If I don't sell what I produce, probably I'm going to get divorced.
Oh,
because my basement is my pieces are taking care of the laundry room already.
Yes. Yep. So it's a good argument for, as the production grows, it's splitting your time between producing and marketing and selling and getting the work out there. But Jesus, thank you so much for sharing your work with us today and allowing us to talk about what you're doing. I found it inspiring, and I hope that those of you who are here with us, there is an enthusiasm that you exude in your work and in talking about your work and in what you're doing and talking about the business. And I think we can all take some of that enthusiasm and excitement and the fresh eyes that a new artist brings to her or his work. I think is inspiring to all of us. Thank you so much, Jesus.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us, and we'll look forward to seeing you here next week.